Okay, this is Samurai Shodown Sen, and I first encountered this game in the arcade in the Internet Coin Expo. I actually thought the game was alright when I actually played it there, so I actually did pick this up when it went down cheap for the Xbox 360, hence the reason why I'm reviewing it today. There's one problem though, this game is terrible. First of all, there's not that much content to the game. You've got your basic fighting game modes and that's about it. There's story versus practice, survival, replay, Xbox Live, which is completely barren. Ranking, you got your achievement and option menus as well, but other than that, there isn't really that much to this game. And that's a huge shame because I'm a massive Samurai Shodown fan. I even own the arcade cart of Samurai Shodown 2, I love the game that much. Anyway, here's the 22 characters. As you can see, some of them are familiar faces and a lot of them are actually new. Straight up though, most of the new characters kinda suck. I kind of like the Korean spear wielding guy. Other than that, the rest of the characters really need to fuck off. I mean, there's a Viking, some Afro Samurai knockoff, like a 12-year-old with a huge bastard sword. Really? Are we really going that route? I mean, Samurai Shodown used to be such a cool series and now we're doing that. Why? Anyway, yeah, this is your story. Hope you enjoy it. Some barely legible white text on a really chaotic background with some Japanese guy talking over it. Yay! You know, in the age of Soul Calibur and Tekken and Street Fighter, even Street Fighter, like, people said those cutscenes were bad. At least there were some cutscenes, you know? At least there was something. This is really kinda terrible. Anyway, I decided to skip ahead to the actual fighting, because after all, that's what really matters in a fighting game, right? The fighting! I know it's something you already might notice here. They've kind of changed this game up a bit. Look at the controls. What does it remind you of? Kind of reminds you of Soul Calibur, doesn't it? Well, there's a reason for that. This game is now turned into some kind of Soul Calibur knockoff, and a really stiff one at that. The game really doesn't play well, and people who used to love this series will find nothing of enjoyment here because the game engine is completely changed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mind having a 3D engine in my game, that's fine, as long as it plays like the other games in the series. This is not an improvement, this is terrible. There are no projectiles anymore, the moves are all really stiff and very difficult to do, even with an arcade stick. I mean, I'm playing this with an arcade stick and I'm having trouble pulling off even the most basic moves in this game, it's that bad. And even your old favourites like this guy, I used to be able to actually play as him. Not anymore. I can't even do any kind of basic combos with this guy. And the game is absolutely brutal. This game is so difficult. This is the first guy and I'm having trouble beating him up. He should be like some special needs guy which I'll be able to like poke in the eye and win. You know, that's how most beat 'em ups work. The first couple of fights are gimmies, you know. They allow you to get used to control before they completely decimate you. In this, they don't even bother with that. They just completely destroy you on the off, which completely destroys any enthusiasm you might have for playing the game. Even on the easiest difficulty setting, it's like this. And, you know, learning the game with the computer is no fun, and there's nobody playing this game online, so the only way you could possibly get any kind of enjoyment out of this game is with a friend, locally. But, you know, if you have a friend who's willing to play a fighting game with you, you might want to play a better fighting game. You know, Mortal Kombat, BlazBlue, Street Fighter, Soul Calibur, Tekken, Virtual Fighter, any of those, more preferable than this, I'd say. But to get into the fighting engine a bit more, you have your health bar and you have your anger bar, which you can activate by pressing horizontal, vertical and kick. Once you do that, you can do your super specials, but these are pointless. They barely do any more damage than your power swings, which you can do without any anger bar, and you can just pull them off just by pressing 2 buttons. Also, a lot of the characters, while they look different, they kind of play the same. And this is a problem with a lot of kind of poorly designed weapon-based fighter. They just don't differentiate themselves from each other that much. Like, all the characters seem to have some kind of crazy dragon punch kind of move. All the throws are literally identical to each other, which is really ridiculous. Especially in this day and age, you know, like Soul Calibur had different throws for each of the characters in 1996. This game was made like over 10 years later. Now the presentation is kind of hit and miss on this game. The character models look okay, but they animate very stiffly. The backdrops are kind of plain and not that interesting, but they are nice and varied. Definitely not as vibrant or as lush as the Samurai Shodown 2 backdrops, that's for sure. Anyway, my final verdict. I can't really recommend this to anyone. The fighting system's stiff and not really that enjoyable. The graphics and presentation aren't really all that great. The game's lacking in content, the online mode is dead. But the most damaging flaw is this game is just not Samurai Shodown. It's just not. Like, I'm not sure what this game is supposed to be, but it's not the game that us fans remember the series by. They took on everything cool about the series, they discarded it in the name of, you know, basically cashing in on the whole 3D fighting game craze, and that's a huge shame. You know, I really like SNK games. Anyone who's been watching my videos for a very long time knows that I'm almost willing to champion anything that SNK put out, but not these days. They only seem to be putting out crap these days, and that's a shame because, well, they used to be my favourite fighting game company. But there is one thing I can say about this game, at least it's not as bad as King of the Fighters 12. Yeah, this game is stiff, yeah, it's a bad Soul Calibur knockoff, but at least it's more of a complete game than that game ever was. Anyway, this has been Danny, and all I gotta say is, stick to the classics, kids. I'll catch you later. Goodbye. So anyway, this has been Danny, and I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of slightly whiny review, and all I gotta say is, kids, stick to the classics and just get Samurai Shodown 2 on Xbox Live Arcade. It's a much better game and only costs you 800 Microsoft points.